Crime time.
Bestie.
I'm Jess Vanderduck, and this is Anna Edges, and we are Crime Time with my bestie. Hi, bestie.
Hi, bestie.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm a little tired. It's the end of the week.
Yeah, we're recording a little bit late on a Friday compared to our usual Wednesday. I don't know,
Tuesday
any
or
day.
Wednesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday. We're a bit tired this week, but it's been a week again, of course. Why wouldn't it be? The universe loves to like voodoo doll the shit out of us.
We never have a fully good week, I don't think.
I will do a rain dance for the rain gods when they give me a good week, and you a good week. I think we'll do a joint effort of doing the sacrificing to the gods.
Yeah. I will present it with the gods with some food, like they used to do that. When you present them with some food as like a peace offering. I'm quite happy to do that.
I'm not gonna offer my offering isn't gonna be a person. We're not going like full Mayan sort of, Indiana Jones situation. It's probably gonna be food or some nice candles or
You did say a sacrifice though.
Sacrifice. All I can think of is that meme though. Is it from the Madagascar? Why am I being used for this? And then it goes, I'm going to use you as a sacrifice. Like, yay, I'm a sacrifice!
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's how life feels. Apart from I've just butchered it because I don't know the exact words. But yeah, I will sacrifice myself if they give me a good week. I'd like myself back, but I'll sacrifice myself for a bit. It'll be fun.
Okay, fair. So we're going to do our good news things that we did last week, whatever. It was last week this time.
It was last week. We are trying to catch up on recordings, so we're recording a week back to back. Normally we give ourselves a break because editing and recording and live, but we're catching up with recording, so we're recording we're recording the week after we've just done a recording, which is not usual for us. And I only did my notes a day in advance because Anna was a very lovely bestie and edited my episode that's coming out in like 6 days for me because week. But yeah. Do you want to give me your good news week?
Yes. So my good news, it's more funny news. So the good part of it is that I booked myself onto an aerial silks class this week, which was very, very fun. But oh my god, aerial silks is so hard. Like, it's because there's nothing stable for you to hold on to, sit on, or anything like you get with aerial hoop. The silks move, it's all your own like core or arm strength. It's so hard, but it's so much fun. And the funny part of it is that I record as I do the moves. And this week's one, I was doing the move and I was practically on the mat for most of it, but you can see another girl in the background and she's like 4 foot in the air where you're meant to be, and I'm like fighting for my life on the mat because I was really trying to go through all of the moves of it and use all the right muscles, but I am fully fighting for my life and I'm directly on the mat. And she's just up in the air, and it was so funny. When I watched it back, I was crying, laughing.
It was quite entertaining. I generally watched it thinking, "Are you in the air?" But you're just laying on the mat, really, really trying.
I was about 2 centimeters in the air.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It didn't look like that in the video, but fair play for being
towards the end.
centimeters.
At one point, I did just go onto the mat, but for the first part of it, I'm like 2 centimeters off that mat. And I'm still using all of my muscles for all of it, the whole thing, until I flop at the end.
Well, congratulations on another new hobby.
Yay!
Yay! Don't overwhelm yourself or anything with hobbies, it'll be fine.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, it's been about 3 hours since I started a new hobby.
Yeah, just add another one into the mix.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. What's your good news for this week?
Good news is that it was Sam's birthday on Wednesday, and I had booked to take him to a bottomless brunch because he's never done one, and I was like, "You're like 34 now, so you need to have
God, he's old.
Yeah, I know. You need to have one bottomless brunch in your life at least." Went to a local place that does really good Mexican food and a bottomless brunch, but they rung like in the middle of the day, about an hour before our booking, said, "We're really sorry, our chefs can't come in because of, I think they were ill." They're like, "Could you come later?" And I was like, "Oh, but we were coming at that time because you're bottomless brunch, and this is out of your bottomless brunch time." And they're like, "No, it's fine. We'll honour the brunch." And so we ended up going and doing board game cafe for a bit instead, and then going for brunch, and we got really drunk. Because I don't really drink, so obviously any amount of alcohol is a lot for me. And there were cocktails as well, and good cocktails. You know, like some bottomless brunches where you just get like a vodka mixer, basically, or maybe a glass of prosecco.
Yeah.
It was a full blown cocktail, and
Yes, that's what we
because of
want.
because it was only us two there for a while. So it was like a 5:30, like us just getting wasted on a Wednesday night. Sam would just keep going up to the bar and be like, "Hey, can we get another cocktail?" Whereas obviously normally they would like come round and take their time. We were like, "No, we're taking full advantage." So yeah, it was really good fun. We had good tasty Mexican food and got really wasted. It was really nice.
Excellent.
And then finished the night with Sam's mum picking us up and dropping us home because we couldn't drive with a chocolate cake. So then we had chocolate cake and I sat in bed. It was very good.
Excellent.
And then I found some positive news in the world so that we can look at the good things that are happening. Because once again, the noob is the noob. The noob. Once again, the news is absolute garbage fire, and we need some good news for the world.
You've got to look specifically for good news.
Yeah. If you read the regular news, it's not. There's nothing good. It's all bad.
No.
However, there is a website called positive.news, so that is quite encouraging.
That's what I think I went on goodnews.com last time.
Goodnews.com was also a good source. They had a few, but I was looking for something kind of like with a vibe that wasn't random person gets saved by random person. Like I wanted something more like across the world rather than one specific person has something nice for them, which is still lovely. But this good news is, and this was published on November 21st, so it's actually today, I think. So it's actually today, so really, really up-to-date news. So more than 86 million girls in the most at-risk nations have received a vaccine against the human papilloma virus, which is HPV vaccine, which is the leading cause of cervical cancer.
Yay! That's good.
With the 86 million girls that have been vaccinated, there is obviously work to do more, and it means that they are estimating 1.4 million people will be protected from dying from cervical cancer in the future.
Amazing! That is good news. I like that.
Very good news. There was some other stuff as well, but I was like, yeah, we can save it. We can save it. I mean, there was one that I was like, this will be good news for the UK. Apparently, they're going to crack down on industrial scale ticket touting. So if you were like me and didn't get any ticket to Oasis because everybody else did, yeah, we'll let people buy them up and sell them for crazy money.
I see. I was like, what is ticket? I don't go to concerts. I'm 4'11". I can't see a fucking thing.
I said touting, but I am now forever doubting how I pronounce words after a friend of ours commented on one of our reels where I said titular character, and it's not titular, it's titular. And I was like, when, where, who, how? Like, how
does that work?
How does that work? Titular. And I was like, no, that's not right. That's not real. It's a lie. It's fake. Absolute fake. Because it's spelled or it's spelled wait, what have I been saying? Titular? No.
No.
Titular.
You say titicular.
Titicular. Yeah, titular character. My word. Titular character, and it's titular. And I'm like, why? Some I get, and I'm looking at the words and I'm like, yep, okay, that makes sense. Titular or titular. Oh, fuck's sake.
I mean, stop trying. Stop trying.
Titular.
Have you noticed that I haven't said it because I can't say it?
Titular character, apparently. So yeah, for our Christian Barlett episode, it is not a titular character. No, it's not a titular.
Stop trying.
I know, it's not a title character. It's titular, which is gross, and I hate it.
Good to know. You won't have to use it again.
Never again, because my brain is now trying to say the way that I used to say it, and now pronouncing it the way that it's supposed to be said. But yeah, and if you're ever around me and anything is spelt with a Q, like, you know, like key, Quay.
Yeah.
Nothing in my brain registers that as key. Never. For my entire life.
No, I don't think it does on mine either.
As Quay.
Yeah, I think I would as well.
Because it looks like Quay. Someone somewhere out there decided that Quay was pronounced key,
To be fair, I think this is brand new news to me right now.
I was on the tube once with a friend and I went, oh, we're going to stop in at the Quay dock, right? And they're like, what did you just say? And I was like, the Quay dock. And they were like, do you mean key? Excuse me? Are you telling
Sorry,
me?
what?
Excuse me, what? Like, I suppose it's one of those things where, like, when you hear about people that read a book and they pronounce a character's name a certain way.
It's like walking through the forest, a shepherd went up to the tree and talked to shepherd.
Yep, so then when you have to say it out loud and everyone's like, who are you talking about?
I never just say it out loud. You've just got to mumble it.
Yep. I would love to know other people's like weird pronunciations or things that they've realised later in life because nobody had ever said it to them out loud.
I say penguin instead of penguin.
Are you like Benedict Cumberbatch?
Is that how he says it?
Yeah, there's a whole documentary and meme about the fact that he does a documentary about penguins and he says the word penguin 4 different ways, including one way which is penguin.
Penguin is how I say it. I am Benedict Cumberbatch.
Damn. Yeah. I'd love to know if there's anything out there where people have mispronounced things in their lives because nobody had ever said it out loud and explained to them that Quay was actually key. Apparently I just don't know how to speak English. Or English is stupid.
English is stupid, and the amount of times that I go to my colleagues, very few are from the UK, and I'm like, how do you pronounce this? They're like, it's your first language. Why are you asking us? It's hard. It's a hard language for a native speaker.
It's stupid language is what it is. Stupid.
It's stupid. Okay, should we get into your case?
Yeah, it's case time.
It's case time! I like the way saying it like that.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's case time.
I feel like it's case time and I'm going to go straight into triggers. But actually, no, first we're going to do my teasers, which you were very disappointed about last episode because they were very generic. But once we get into the case, you will see why they are so generic. So my teasers were Coersion, DNA, and Ancestry.com.
Okay.
And the sources...
stabbing at one point.
No, that's a trigger.
Okay.
Spoiler. Sources. So for this, I read a BBC article, Wikipedia. There's one source that I'm not going to say because it would give it away, but I will tell you later.
That is fine.
A New York Times article, a CBS article, and the AngieDodge.com tribute website.
Okay.
And triggers for the episode are sexual assault, rape, and stabbing.
Not that many triggers this week.
No, I wrote the triggers before I did all the research, but I'm pretty sure that there's no other necessary triggers. I hope. I do apologise.
If anyone if anyone likes more triggers and we do find more as the episode goes on, they will be in the show notes.
Yes, I may not read them out now, but do check the show notes because if I have gotten something wrong and as we're reading through my research, if Anna goes, oh, that should have had a trigger warning, I will make sure to add it to the show notes.
Okay.
So today's case, we are talking about the murder of Angie Dodge. Angie Dodge was born December 21st, 1977 in Vancouver, Washington, to Jack R. Dodge and Carol R. Dodge. She was the youngest of 4 children and their only daughter. Angie was a gifted child and had a great enthusiasm for life. Throughout high school, she tutored many children in English and maths, and she graduated from Idaho Falls School in 1995 with honours and continued her education at ISU. She loved Christmas and camping and just had a great enthusiasm for life, which I've realised that I've said twice, so I'm just going to not delete it. The Angie Dodge tribute website had loads of testimonies from her friends and family if anybody wanted to check it out and read the lovely things that they were saying about her and the things that she liked. Because that is one thing that I find, like researching these cases, it's sometimes really hard to find things about the victim.
Yeah, it's all about the murderer.
It's always about the murderer. And it's really sad to be like, oh, the murderer did this and they did that, and all about the actual case itself. And it's like, I just wanted to find something nice to say about Angie.
Yeah.
And her family and her mum in particular had been like a really big advocate for her, and they set up the page, and I think there's like money that you can donate and stuff. It's a really nice website.
Yeah, I like it when they say something that's a little bit beyond just, oh, they were nice or they lit up a room. Like, those are fairly generic things to say. They're not bad things to say, but they're just quite generic. Whereas like, she loved Christmas and she this and that. Like, those are nice, personable things, I think.
Yeah. Apart from me, where I said great enthusiasm for life twice. But anyways,
But she really had a great
she really
enthusiasm.
loved life. She was wonderful. Her mother recalls the last time she saw Angie on June 12th, 1996. Angie had stopped by the family home at around 9:15 p.m. and expressed her excitement about living in her new apartment. Angie left around 10:20 p.m. to return to her apartment. She threw her mum a kiss and whispered, "I love you," neither of them knowing it would be their last moments together. And her mum...
Sorry, was this was her first night in the apartment?
No, it was... I think she'd been living there a while. It was just her chatting about the fact that she was like living by herself and all the things that came with it. But yeah, her mum said that it was actually really nice now knowing, obviously looking back on the fact that they had that moment, because sadly this is the night before Angie died. Angie had been working at a beauty store downtown, and on June 13th, two of her colleagues came to her apartment when she didn't show up for work. Angie's apartment was on the second floor in the north of the city of Idaho Falls. Angie's friends, Julia and Tawny, knocked for Angie, and when there was no answer, entered the apartment, searching it room by room.
Did they have a key, or was it open?
It doesn't say. It didn't say they broke in, but they said they entered the apartment. So
I mean, like, you don't even have a key to my place.
No, it also doesn't say. I'm pretty sure that in the research it didn't say anything about forced entry. So it's not like they got it. From the sounds of it, it's not like they got there, saw the door was broken down, and was like, "Oh, we're going to go in." From the sounds of it, everything looked to be normal. They searched each room.
I guess they must have had a key.
They must have had a key, or maybe she had a key under the mat that they knew about. And yeah,
I was just judging our friendship.
Okay.
I was like,
I'm not giving you a key to my house. I'm sorry,
wow.
but no, I'm not. I don't even like have my mum having a key to my house because people just walk in.
I would never walk in.
Why would you need a key?
In case you needed me to go over to do something.
Would you though?
Yeah, if you were out and you needed me to, I don't know, feed the cats or something.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can have a key. So you could feed my cat.
Or like if you were out, you were away and you had a package coming.
Oh, thanks.
Then yeah.
Or maybe I'm just a shit friend.
Maybe you're a bitch.
I'm a bitch, apparently. And I wouldn't have a key to be able to find you after you've been murdered.
Yeah, exactly. Rude.
Yeah, I know. Such a bitch. So they searched each room before coming to Angie's bedroom, where they found her body. Angie had been 18 at the time.
Oh, so young.
So I didn't add in a trigger warning earlier. I'm going to add in a bit of a trigger warning for graphic details about the scene. Angie was lying on the floor with her head up against the wall, next to a mattress that was covered with a blood-stained sheet. Her hands were by her sides, and the carpet beneath her was soaked through with blood. She had been raped and stabbed to death. There was a large cut across her throat and more than a dozen puncture wounds on her body. There was no sign of forced entry into the apartment, but there were signs of a struggle. So, as I said, it doesn't seem like they broke in, but there was indications that she had a fight.
Yeah.
Idaho Falls Police Department Detective Jeff Pratt was quoted as saying, "It was the most horrific scene that I'd ever worked up into that." Wait, ever worked up in that? That's what it says. And I copied that. I'm just going to leave it, because that was the copy. It was the most horrific scene that I had ever worked up in that. That's what it says, and I did, and I copied the quote.
Yeah, that is a very weird quote.
Okay, I'm just going to leave it, but yeah, so I had ever worked up in that, 15 years in my career at that point, she was nearly decapitated. Excuse the graphicness of it, but I didn't change that because it's a quote, so not really sure what's being said there. The police concluded that Angie had been killed between how would you say that? If it's 00:45, what's that, like?
1:45 in the morning.
Thank you.
Jess is learning military time.
00:45. Damn it, okay. Because I was like, well, it's not midnight 45, is it?
No.
No. The police concluded that Angie had been killed between 1:45 and 11:15. I will say, though, we do have people, at least according to Spotify, that listen to us in the US, and I've been told that 1:45 and 1:15 isn't a US thing.
No, it's not. So I remember when I worked in the US at a summer camp, they got so confused when I would be like, "Oh, it's 10:02," and they were like, "What?" I was like, "It's 10:02." They were like, "What are you saying? Like, what time is that?" I was like, 10 to the hour. I don't get what you're... And they were like, "Oh, 1:50." And I was like, "No, 10 to 2 or whatever it was."
Yeah.
No, that really threw them off.
I have just googled it, and I don't know why my brain was like, "Oh, it's midnight 45." It's just 12:45.
Yeah,
That's literally it.
but 00 means
I
midnight.
know. Yeah, it
But
does mean
yeah,
midnight, but it is also 12. So, anyways, oh god,
you're struggling today.
maybe we shouldn't record this late. But anyways, the police concluded that Angie had been killed between either 12:45 or, if you want to say it like that, 1:45 and 11:15 on Thursday, the 13th of June, 1996. So this is 12:45 and 11:15 in the morning. So between those times.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you just said those times, I would have assumed lunchtime to evening.
No, morning. So on Angie's body, officers found a bloody handprint and DNA left behind by the killer during the sexual assault.
Oh, that's good.
It is very good.
Leave all your DNA. If you are going to be a criminal, leave your DNA.
Just wait till you hear the rest of the case.
Excellent. Great. Can't wait. It's going to be terrible.
They took away her bedding and clothing for testing and also collected a sample of the killer's DNA, which, as I said, it was from the sexual assault, so it was a semen sample. So this was like a pretty good sample. Like, you couldn't really deny it. The DNA profile from said samples was said to be pristine, and it would play a vital role later. So you would
I
think
don't know how I feel about calling it pristine.
Pristine in terms of the profile, not like,
Yeah.
oh, this was really good sperm. Thank you so much.
But that's what it makes you think, and it's a bit like, I can't.
Yeah.
Like cringing all the way. I realise it's not a visual podcast, but my shoulders are up by my ears, and I'm like, it's like a bleh.
You could maybe use it as like a pickup line, like, how pristine is your sperm?
Oh god, I think I just threw up in my mouth a bit. God, never say that again.
Sorry.
That's recorded for everyone.
I know.
To hear
I don't
now.
have to keep it in.
You do. You do.
Immediately, the police turned their attention to those closest to Angie. This included Angie's boyfriend of just a few weeks. However, he was cleared by the DNA evidence, and several of her friends who had been at her apartment the night before she was killed were also ruled out by the DNA. Not saying that this isn't valid, however, I've just had this realization that Angie left her mum's house at 10:20. Who's going over their friend's house at 10:30 at night? I'm in bed.
Yeah, that's too much. Even if you told me to come around at 8, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that.
As long as I'm getting the dates the right way round, because if she saw Angie on the June 12th and then her friends knocked for her on June 13th, I earlier said that it was the next day, but actually it would have been the same night that she was murdered. So, yeah.
Well, it's technically the next day because it's gone past midnight, but yeah. I mean, she is 18 though.
True, but remember, that's still a very specific like crime of opportunity, because
yeah, it's very short.
Yeah, like if they're saying that she was killed between 12:45 and 11:15, and her friends were there, and she left her mum's at 10:20. Like, that's only really an hour and a bit to play with, depending on how long it took her to get from her mum's to her apartment. But you never know.
I mean, I suppose it could have been as late as 11 something in the morning, so that's 12 hours.
True. That's very
not
true.
too bad. We're thinking of it as the 1:45 in the morning, and that's like, yeah, only an hour or so. But yeah, I'm still stuck on her friends going round at 10:30 at night. But I am thinking she's 18. We did do that sort of shit at uni.
True.
Now we're in our 30s. Couldn't be me.
We're in bed by 10.
Yeah. I mean, I'm recording this in my Udi, so like, I'm ready to go straight to bed afterwards.
So as said, Angie's boyfriend and the friends that had been at her apartment that night were ruled out by the DNA. Oh, so handy they have all this DNA.
Sorry the way you said that.
Again, you'll get this. It's meant with the utmost sarcasm because of what happens. Police began collecting the DNA of dozens of local men and spent months interviewing everyone Angie knew. For 6 months, authorities had no real leads. There was heightened frustration from Angie's family about the police, as well as criticism in the media, putting pressure on the police to find the killer. Which I think is like, not saying that it's valid. I don't know how big the town is, but you've got a really good match of DNA. Like, really just like start swabbing random people.
Yeah. And it does sound like they were doing that, like the police. I hate to be on the police's side, but it does sound like they were doing that slightly. But yeah, it feels at the moment, from what you've said, it sounds like they were doing that because it said they interviewed a bunch of people, and I'm assuming if you interview a bunch of people, you were swabbing them too. Probably not. because you're making a face. However, after a while, I'm on the family side of why the fuck haven't you found this person yet if we've got such a pristine sample? Ugh.
Well, hold on to your jaw because it's about to be dropped. I was thinking of that in the background whilst you were talking.
Is that why you were smiling?
Yes, it was pretty good. So, on the 5th of January 1997, 7 months after the murder of Angie Dodge, Benjamin Hobbs, who originated from Idaho Falls and just happened to be a friend of Angie's, was arrested for raping a woman at knife point. Investigators thought this crime resembled the killing of Angie, leading police to believe he may have been responsible, therefore becoming the number one suspect. Hobbs denied being involved in Angie's death. The police brought in some of Hobbs's friends, hoping that they would give some incriminating evidence, and one such friend was Christopher Tapp, who Hobbs knew due to being a part of a group called the River Rats, who hung out by the
You might have to keep that in.
I know. Who Hobbs knew due to being part of a group called the River Rats, who hung out by the trails along the Snake River not far from Dodge's apartment.
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question? Was Hobbs at her house that night? Am I jumping ahead?
No. Tapp and Hobbs were said to have been seen together at a gathering the night before she died. So even though they specifically weren't seen at Angie's apartment, they were seen to be together. And because of the similarities between Angie's case and it didn't actually give a name for the person that Hobbs had assaulted and held at knife point, but he was charged for that. The reasoning for them having him as a suspect is that he was part of the River Rats group who were hung out or were known to be around the Snake River, which was next to Angie's apartment, and for the fact that he had committed this crime on somebody else. At the time that he committed the crime, though, it wasn't in Idaho Falls. It was somewhere else. So he wasn't even in Idaho Falls anymore.
Okay, but he was at the time of Angie's murder.
He was at the time of Angie's murder, yeah. So they kind of had a hope that he would be the person because of his other assault and because he did happen to be around the time.
I think I was associating it together because I think you said that he knew her or he was friends with her. So it kind of I assumed in my mind that then meant he was there that night, which then makes him super suspect, because if he's already there and then this thing happened, that sounded really bad, but I don't mean it like that.
I get what you mean.
It follows.
I get what you mean. I think it was just more circumstantial evidence, to be fair, rather than they specifically had evidence to prove that he was there that night. From all the research I did, it didn't state that he was there that night. So 3 factors actually. So being a friend of Angie's, having committed an assault of a similar style, even though in a different location, and happened to frequent with this group called the River Rats, who were known to hang around near the house. So those are the 3 circumstantial pieces of evidence that brings Hobbs in. And then they brought in Christopher Tapp in an attempt to gain knowledge about Hobbs and see if he could implicate Hobbs in any way to the crime against Angie. However, Tapp had been, I did sort of say this, but Tapp had been seen with Dodge at a gathering, not the same gathering the night before Angie died. So this convinced the detectives that somehow Tapp was also involved. So they've gone from bringing in Tapp to sort of hoping that he would rat out Hobbs, and actually the police have come to a conclusion that they believe that Tapp was also involved, which I feel like is a bit of a stretch.
It's a bit of a jump, yeah.
Tapp was first interviewed by the Idaho Falls police on January 7th and then released. Over the next 3 weeks, he was interrogated 9 times and forced to take 7 lie detector tests. His lawyers would later say it's a lot. And I didn't include it in the research because it was really fragmented from the different sources that I got. It was all over the place and it was a lot of information. I didn't really want to overload it. But his lawyers said that he would have spent more than 100 hours under intense police questioning. And they would sort of say things to him. So they would sort of...
he
would say... They would sort of say that wasn't quite right. And he'd go, did I pass? And they'd go, not quite yet. And they just keep going again and again and again.
Yeah.
So...
And then when you're so tired and...
Yeah.
You're just like,
Yeah.
just stop talking to me. Whatever you want.
Through all of this, the police stated that if Tapp cooperated, they would give him an immunity deal as long as he told the truth.
The truth in inverted
Yeah.
commas.
Their truth, the truth that they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
When he continued to deny all knowledge of the crime, he was told by a polygraph examiner he was failing the tests, and the examiner said the machine never lies, which we know from multiple different true crime throughout, history. Lie detector tests and polygraphs are not a fail-safe
No,
truth.
not in the slightest.
And they are not credible in court
No.
more than they were back then because of those reasons.
I was going to say, were they at the time? Do we know?
I think they were at the time. I don't know whether they were considered to be like factual evidence, but they like it could come up in investigations, and
you
people
could
would
use it
take
to
it
aid it, but you couldn't use it as like, this is the only evidence we have.
Yeah, compared to like DNA that would,
Yeah,
in theory, exonerate someone. Let's see. He told investigators what he thought they wanted to hear. In total, he told 6 different stories, and he's quoted as saying, "I just gave them whatever information they wanted because I thought it would get me out of the situation." Now, if you remember back to our earlier point, there was very specific DNA at the crime scene, so they were able to test the DNA of Hobbs and Tapp, with results coming back as negative. But the police are obviously invested at this point, so to try and fix this, the police also tried bringing in a third person for no apparent reason.
They trying to bring into this?
Yep, for no apparent reason, they brought in a third person, which was someone called Jeremy Sargis or Sargis. Jeremy was also a friend of Hobbs and Tapp, and I also believe from the River Rat group. Don't hold me to that because I can't 100% remember because I haven't read it in my notes, but I have a feeling that's what it was. Funnily enough, Jeremy Sargis DNA also came back as negative.
It's almost like they weren't there.
Almost.
I mean, they're still trash people, or at least Hobbs
we don't know they're trash. Hobbs is trash.
Tapp is
has not. Yeah, Tapp has never done anything
that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of
in this story.
In this story, and neither has Sargis or Sargis. Despite this all being constructed, and I put constructed in inverted commas, by the police, they said that Tapp had lied and therefore voided his immunity. I don't know if you're yawning. If you're yawning, I thought it was your jaw. You're meant to have your jaw dropping, and you're not. It's a yawn. I feel so like my story is not interesting enough for you. Why?
I'm sorry. It's just so late at night.
It's 9:30.
Yeah, but we're being productive, and that's a lot.
Yeah, fair.
I had a question.
Okay.
Oh, why did what's his name? Tapp.
What Tapp? That's his name.
Yeah, Tapp. Okay. Why do they think that Tapp has lied? Like, what are they saying he's lied about to void his immunity?
The fact that he is both telling them that he wasn't involved, whilst also changing his story more and more.
Yes, but they're suggesting stories that they want him to say.
Oh, I thought I wrote it down. I didn't. Sorry. So the 6 stories that had sort of changed. So the beginning story was he wasn't involved and neither was Hobbs. The second story that he gave was that he wasn't involved, but Hobbs was, and Hobbs had asked for him to give an alibi. So that was story number 2. Story number 3 was that he was there but didn't do anything and watched Hobbs murder Angie. The 4th story, I think, was that he held Angie down whilst Hobbs did stuff. Then there was another story which was that he actually also hurt Angie. I think she had like a cut across her chest, and he said he was the one that cut her across the chest with a knife. And then eventually, I don't know what the 6th story was, but each time they questioned, it's escalating every single time, and he's giving them more and more details of what they want to hear. So I think, and as well as at the same time, he's also saying that he's not involved, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not looking good, but also if you are under 100 hours of intense interrogation.
Yeah. So I think them saying that he lied is the fact that because all of the DNA has come back as negative, in their mind, there must be another person that Tapp isn't telling them about, and therefore Tapp is lying because he's obviously able to give them a story about Hobbs and himself.
Yeah.
But for some reason, none of the DNA lines up, so he must be lying.
Yeah, I know that. I see what they're saying, but it's a bit far-fetched.
It's very stretched. But because of this, they actually void his immunity deal. So they continue to question him, continue to pressure him, and this eventually leads him to confessing to the crime and him being charged with the rape and murder of Angie Dodge. So again, no evidence to back this up. This is purely off the basis of his confession.
I think you're about to answer whatever question I'm about to ask. So I was going to ask, what does that mean for Hobbs if Tap has been arrested?
I am going to. Hobbs, although convicted of the Nevada assault, was never charged in Dodge's death. So they brought nothing against him. And Sargis had been initially charged as an accessory, but the charges were dismissed. There's no evidence against them.
I mean, there's no evidence against Tap either. But except his confession, but they brought him in and pressured him into that confession. 100%. And they only thought that he was coming in as to give evidence against Hobbs in the first place.
Right? It's all a bit wild, the whole situation.
I mean, it's wilder things have happened in true crime.
Very true.
If you were telling this case in a different way, I would be like, okay, maybe this is a whole story that they are all part of this and they're lying for each other, and it's the way you're saying it that I'm like, why are they charging him, or why are they being this mean to him? But it's because we're starting this with, well,
we're starting this with all the facts. If you were going through it, however, there's a little bit of stuff later which kind of, if you were there at the time, you would also have kind of gone, huh. Yeah. And that is what leads to stuff happening further down the line. We're not far from it, to be fair. Taps' trial began in May 1998. He pleaded not guilty, but had stated as part of his confession that he and 2 other people had been there and involved in the murder and assault. As well as the confession...
2 different people?
It just says 2 people.
It's not named.
It doesn't say. As well as the confession, the police introduced the testimony of a young woman named Destiny Osborne, who said she had heard Tap talking about the killing at a party. That was completely new as brought up through the trial. It didn't come in as part of his stuff, but we'll come back to that later as well. Tap was convicted and sentenced to 30 years in prison for aiding and abetting the murder of Angie Dodge, despite there being no physical evidence against him, only his confession and the statement of Destiny Osborne.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good. The family were initially pleased with the conviction having some sense of justice in the case. However, with there being no evidence tying Tap to the murder, the case was still technically unsolved. And Tap seemingly refusing to give up the other people confused the family. So Angie's mum, Carol, didn't understand how Tap would go to prison and take the full sentence and implicate nobody else, basically. She was like, why are you doing this? Because why would you?
Yeah, why would you? And I guess also it is confusing that there's no evidence that matches him in any way, no physical evidence.
Yeah. Actually, I've just noticed something in my research that might answer a question you had earlier. So Carol Dodge, which I said is Angie's mother, became determined to find Angie's real killer and the third man. So I'm assuming that Tap had still said that Hobbs was involved and that this third person, who was the person of the DNA, was who the third man was.
Okay.
So but not quite sure how,
Surely there would have been still some of their DNA
you would assume
on her body in some way. Maybe not in terms of semen, but I don't know. Like I
you
feel
would
like
hope,
it's,
but
with a stabbing, I feel like, I don't know, I've never stabbed anyone, but I feel like it would be hard to stab someone and not cut yourself a little bit.
Or just leave anything behind in the entire
a hair.
crime.
Like, I'm not being funny, my hair molts like it's, like I'm surprised there's any hair on my head. So I could never commit a crime because there would be little purple hair everywhere.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I think that was why there was this kind of like big question over the whole crime scene in general, because there was nothing to tie Tap to it. He wasn't giving anybody up, but also pleading not guilty. So Carol Dodge, Angie's mother, was like, hold the phone.
Hold the phone. I am finding this other killer.
I am finding this out. And she delivered. So.
Get it, girl. No, that's weird. Go. Go, girl.
You go, girl. Carol visited the police station every day it was open, drove for miles through seedy neighbourhoods, passing out flyers, read through police reports, and even kept tabs on the so-called river kids, or river rats, as it was referred to earlier in my research, who had once hung out by the Snake River. Years passed without any more arrests. Angie's mother eventually reached out to DNA expert Dr. Greg Hampkin. Dr. Greg Hampikian. I'm going to stick with that.
Okay.
The founder and the director of the Idaho Innocence Project, which aimed to correct wrongful convictions. By chance, the organisation had just agreed to take on Tap's case, so she didn't know that Tap was contacting them. It doesn't explicitly say whether she was reaching out to them specifically to exonerate Tap, or whether she was just like, hey, you felt with a lot of like weird DNA stuff where it like brings
can
people
you
who
come and help
can
me?
you help? Yeah.
I feel like it's that one. I feel like it's that latter one that it's like, this is weird and you deal with a lot of weird DNA. Help me, please.
In 2001, Tap recanted his confession, stating that he was coerced by police and fed information about the crime. So there's our teaser.
Our
Coercion.
teaser of Coercion. I've never thought that throughout this whole thing. I thought it was him the whole time.
No way. And we've obviously had the other teaser of DNA.
Maybe us putting teasers in does lead us down a bit of a path, because maybe I wouldn't have thought that if we hadn't known about the coercion.
I fully wrote these notes for it to come across that the police were coercing him.
Okay.
Coercing? Coercing? Is that the technical term? Coercing.
I don't know. Let's not think too much of it. We can't say words.
Titular. Anyways, in 2007, after Tap had served 10 years in prison, his case was revisited by the Idaho Innocence Project. A professor and undergraduate at Boise State University who worked with the project reviewed Tap's interrogation tapes and arrived at the conclusion that Tap had been heavily coerced into his confession. With Carol Dodge also fighting for Tap's innocence, it was the first time a victim's family had worked with an innocence organisation anywhere in the US.
Yeah, I was going to say that's pretty weird. But cool.
I know, but it's nice that she... Not saying that you can't, I don't know. I think it's just nice.
It is nice. I'm not saying it's weird as in, like, I just don't feel like many people would do it. It's unusual. That's probably a better word.
In May 2016, Tap's attorneys, led by John Thomas of the Bonneville County Public Defender's Office, filed a motion for post-conviction relief. They asserted that Tap's confession was the result of police coercion and deception, and that videotapes of 3 of the 7 polygraph tests showed that coercion and deception had been withheld from Tap's trial team. In addition, the motion noted that Tap's confession didn't fit the evidence. He had told the officers that the crime took place about 1 a.m, but Dodge had been with friends at about 12:30, and an autopsy showed her bladder was very full, indicating she had been asleep for some time. Oh,
I was going to say, that's different to the notes that you had at the beginning.
I know. I must admit, I just awed myself, because sometimes I do obviously read through and I take chunks and I write them in my own words. Sometimes it's just too good as its own chunk to kind of like split it up. So I think I must have just copied that in and not fully read it as I was copying it. I was like, yes, this is the time, and that's why it goes against everything. But
Or what you've done is, when you're writing the notes, sometimes you write them at different times, or at least I do. Like, I'm writing the beginning bit at a different time to this middle/end bit. And maybe even when you read it back, you'd forgotten what you'd said there to connect it to this, until now we do this, and real-time realization.
Yeah. I'll note that it's not explicit in my notes, but I remember as I was researching that even though there was all of this for Tap to indicate that he was coerced and that he was obviously not responsible, it was not like an easy ride. Like, they weren't just like, oh yeah, we completely agree. Like, they had to file a lot of motions and really fight the case. But additionally, along with all this evidence from the Idaho Innocence Project, so Destiny Osborne, who was the witness that had come forward saying that Tap had said that he'd killed somebody at a party, she actually recanted her statement, saying that the police had threatened to arrest her on drug charges and that she had trouble remembering events. So when she was practicing her testimony before trial and not really remembering it properly, the police were like, it was difficult because you used to do loads of drugs.
Yeah, I see. They even coerced her into
they forced somebody to make
witness statement.
100%. So Destiny Osborne's statement was basically retracted, and she said, like, she said she didn't even know Tap. So it was that bad.
Yeah.
The police went to such lengths to just get any conviction that
I suppose because they said that this witness statement happened at a party, or he was talking about it at a party. I suppose by getting anyone, you could be like, oh, well, anyone was at that party. Like, friends of friends of friends. You wouldn't know each other, but she heard you say that.
Yeah. So despite all this, there was still no agreement for them to completely exonerate him, but there was a lot of public scrutiny growing. So prosecutors decided to make Tapp a deal. He was allowed to plead guilty to murder and be resentenced for time served, allowing him to be finally freed in March of 2017. So basically, I think they changed his sentence to like 20 years, and by that, or no, it can't have been 20 years. Basically, they changed his sentence to be a lower sentence, meaning he'd already served it and therefore he could be released.
But he's still having to admit that he's guilty to murder when there's still, that doesn't make any sense.
No. So Carol, Angie's mum, who actually took the stand in support of Tapp at that hearing, was one of the first people that Tapp embraced after being set free. Because I think it's such a weird. I've seen it before on like court TV and stuff. It's such a weird thing. Like even if you've just been in prison, you've been brought to like a courthouse or a place. If you're freed, you're freed then, like immediately. They just kind of take.
Wild.
It's wild, and they just go, okay, you can go. Because
where do you go?
Where do you go? What do you do? So, yeah, he was basically like, oh, and that was it. Well, not quite. In the wake of Tapp's release, Bryce Johnson, the new police chief in Idaho Falls, decided to take a fresh look at the case in an effort to track down the man who'd left behind the DNA sample at the murder scene all those years ago. Ho ho!
What?
Why were you not doing that earlier? Surely that's the whole point of having DNA. Like, honestly.
It feels like they started it again. It could just be the way it was phrasing, and maybe in my head, if you're interviewing people, you're looking into people. Maybe they didn't. Maybe that's just my logical brain being like, this is what you do. It sounds like they started and then immediately fixated on one person and was like, that is my person. We're taking him down.
Your jaw has not yet dropped, so wait and bated breath.
It's ready. I am seated.
By then, there had been huge advances in DNA technology, which I'm sure there has, because science moves quite quickly. But it was also like 1990. I'm going to check. Gotta get wrong. It was also 1996. Like, I would expect DNA to be pretty like cut and dry at that point compared to like the 80s.
I was going to say, but it only came in the 80s.
Okay.
So it's only been around like 10 years at that point, I think. Because I think didn't we say in the last case we looked at, it was like 86 or something it came about?
Maybe. That's fair. Okay.
You're like, I guess.
Carol Dodge pushed the Idaho Falls Police Department to try something called Familial...
You said Dodge.
Damn it! Carol Dodge. I probably said Dodge earlier and we didn't notice. So I'm going to have to keep that in and say I'm sorry. But I'm looking at it and it says Dodge even though it's Dodge. Carol Dodge pushed the Idaho Falls Police Department to try something called familial DNA testing. This involved looking at the database of convicted offenders.
Ancestry.com. Sorry.
I'm not there yet. You jumped the gun.
I just remembered what the other teaser was.
This involved looking at the database of convicted offenders in Idaho for anyone who might have been related to Angie's killer. But where is it? I'm just going to get to it later. It did basically it says that it was involved in looking at the database for convicted offenders. However, the police didn't give them access. So this is what happens next.
Okay.
After 2 years of... Oh, there we go. It's literally the next sentence.
Sorry. So she petitioned to get this to happen, but they said no.
Yes, because after 2 years of legal wrangling, the state refused to allow access to the criminal database for this kind of testing.
Solid notes.
I wrote this.
Solid.
It's literally right there. I just knew it was coming. But I just thought it was later, and I'd written it in a weird way, but I had literally wrote it the next line. But anyways...
We're so good at this.
I promise. We're so sorry. Right. In late 2018, the police partnered with CC Moore, a DNA expert who suggested uploading the crime scene sample to public databases, such as those owned by Ancestry.com. Trigger. Teaser.
Yeah, I was going to say, ding, 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 teaser.
In summer 2018, Moore uploaded the DNA to a database called GEDmatch or GED Match that allows users of websites like Ancestry.com to compare their results with others. Despite her concerns about the quality of the sample, it worked, which I was confused about because I was told earlier that it was a pristine sample, but apparently.
But maybe it was a pristine sample back then, and maybe they didn't
Maybe.
like
Look after
care
it
for
properly.
it. I don't know.
Who's keeping a jar of semen around for 25 years?
Exactly. Maybe it needs to be, I don't know, frozen in a certain way. I don't know. I don't know how you do the lab thing. How do you keep DNA?
We could barely speak English, never mind determine how scientific experiments and things like that work.
No, not in the slightest.
Moore soon established the suspect had to be the grandson or great-grandson of a man called Clarence Ussery. Using birth certificates and obituaries, she mapped all of his descendants to who would have been the right age at the time of Angie's death in 1996. She narrowed it down to 6 men, one of whom lived in Idaho. She gave the name Michael Ussery Jr. to the Idaho Falls Police Department, who then needed DNA to get a sample from him. They tailed the suspect for days. After Idaho Falls officials interrogated Ussery and obtained a saliva sample, they discovered that he did not match the DNA sample found at the scene of Dodge's murder.
Nice save, nice save. Just as a side note, if I don't know how to say someone's name, I will revert to whatever is easiest. So in that case, because what was his first name? Like Michael. I would have just said Michael. You were solid to keep going with the surname.
That's true. Yeah. Dodge's murder, not Dodge's murder. Dodge's murder.
Sorry, I'm interrupting again, but I'm also shocked that they're testing another guy's sample and they're still not getting anywhere.
Nope. It's quite amazing, but yeah. Allegations against Ussery were dropped and the trial went cold once again. As you say, you're shocked. It's shocking that we're here once again with a supposedly pristine or maybe questionable sample, as CC Moore said, of DNA.
Questionable sample.
Pristine questionable sample of DNA that is so far apparently been tested by everyone and their mother.
Yeah.
And they still haven't found the killer.
Nobody's match.
No one. They should have just got Carol Dodge on it from the beginning, because she would have just gone around like sticking swabs in people's faces and just testing everyone under the sun.
Do you know what? I would hire her.
I would hire her. She's great. The accusation of Michael Ussery Jr. brought some negative feedback. Critics claimed that the use of the Ancestry.com database was an ethical breach of privacy, and many disapproved with its use in law enforcement. Others argued that since Ussery Sr. donated his DNA sample for recreational/religious purposes, it was unfair to use it as grounds to accuse family members in a crime. So Michael Ussery Jr., even though he was considered to be the person responsible, his dad was the one that had given the DNA that linked him. So the only way that they found him within this like GED match or
I thought it was his great granddad.
It was they had to be a grandson or great grandson of a man called Clarence Ussery. So
that's
she
not
had done
the person that had given the DNA.
No.
So
okay. They'd done that's why it's called familial DNA, and I do have a whole section on that later about how it all works. But it's basically like mapping out the genealogy within like a family tree. So you might like get it from somebody, and they're like further down the line, and then then they basically matched Michael Ussery Jr. because of him being alive at the time and in the right location, as Angie was at the time of her death.
Yeah, but I think I got confused. I thought when you say it's the grandson or the great grandson of this guy, I thought it was that guy that had given the sample, not the dad of Michael Jr. Ussery.
No. So the reason that Michael Ussery's DNA was considered to be a match was because his dad had given a sample at some point in his life for different purposes, not as part of Ancestry.com, but it just came up through the genealogy of Ancestry.com.
How did Ancestry.com get it?
Because it's all, I think, when you hand over your DNA, technically they can do what they want with it. And that's why they're saying that is it an ethical breach of privacy, because it kind of goes into this big database.
That he still sent it to one of these genealogy places. Okay,
but not for law enforcement to start snooping around.
But also don't be a criminal.
No, but Michael Ussery Jr. was not a criminal either, but it just happened to be that they were like, oh, we think it's you because your dad might be matched through this whole trail. So yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. That's not fair on him, but for whoever hopefully gets caught, don't be a criminal.
Yeah. I was thinking about this at the time and I was like, fair enough, like, you don't really want to be accused of a crime, but also if you didn't commit the crime, does it really... I don't know, because I know there's, like,
Yeah.
sometimes there's really big witch hunts against people when it can really ruin someone's, like, so...
I think that's the thing in my head as well, because my, like, black and white part of my brain is like, well, if you don't commit a crime, people won't arrest you for a crime. But that is not how it works, and
yeah,
we know that, and
this case has also been proven that
that's not how it works.
No, they arrested
we should take a step back and away from our logical brains, because we shouldn't.
Our logical brains goes, if you had DNA in the case, you wouldn't then arrest and convict someone without proving that they were at the scene. Oh, sorry, Tap, that happened to you, but like literally happened. But yeah, so
we need to check ourselves, is what I'm trying to say.
we need to check our privilege at this point.
Yes.
So I mentioned the descendants that were matched narrowed it down to about 6 men. But in late 2018, the analysts learned that there was actually a 7th person of interest in that lineage, a man named Brian Drips. He had lived across the street from Dodge and had been questioned by police early in the investigation, before the focus had turned to Hobbs and then to Tapp. Investigators obtained a DNA sample after following Drips and collecting a discarded cigarette butt thrown from his car window. Once it was tested, he was found to be a complete genetic match.
So it wasn't tested at the time?
No. So you know that... Is your jaw on the floor?
My jaw is
on the floor?
On the floor. I'm scooping it up from the floor to talk into this podcast. But what the fuck? They weren't doing any of the things that I thought they were doing. Every time I was like, but you're interviewing all these people and you're taking swabs. No, I'll eat my words.
He was a neighbour.
Yeah,
like he literally he lived across the street. Like,
that should have been one of the first suspects.
You brought him in, questioned him, didn't take his DNA, and then randomly started focusing on somebody that was in no way connected to her whatsoever. It makes no sense. And I have written in my notes, question, why didn't they do this 23 years ago?
Yeah, why? At least start it. Like, you're like, okay, I'm interviewing, do you know what? I'll take samples from everyone within a 1 mile radius. Something like that. Like, just start small. One street radius.
It doesn't make any sense. And there was no, like, nothing in the... That's the thing. Spoiler, Drips was convicted. And I have a little bit about it next. But there's nothing in the research that states why Drip was not considered, like, why he was not investigated more. It literally just says he was spoken to at the time, and then they moved on. So there's nothing to go, oh, we had an alibi, or he, there was nothing to be like, oh, sorry. It was basically, oh, sorry, nothing. That's it. Just, we convicted the wrong person because of coercion.
We weren't paying attention that day.
Honestly, I don't know. So yeah. Drips was brought in for questioning, confessed, and was arrested on May 15th, 2019.
Oh, so it didn't even take very much.
No.
Literally.
I mean, they've got his DNA. They've literally got his DNA.
Probably at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if you turn around and said he confessed when he was originally talked to 23 years ago, and they were just like, Nah, I don't think
too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to do a bit more of a witch hunt this time.
Yeah, like, if you were just handed the murder on a platter, but like, no, it's just, I would need some more challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah. He said he acted alone and did not know Tapp. Drips, at 55 years old, was given a life sentence with a chance of parole after 20 years in prison. So this was 2019, so 6 years ago, so he is still in prison and possibly will be until he dies. Because he was 55. But he was still given a chance of parole, which I still think is pretty shit.
Already?
Well, it says chance of parole after 20 years in prison. So
he'd be 75.
You could live to your 90s.
Could still, yeah.
But would he get parole? We don't know. Due to the evidence, Tapp's legal team pushed for a full exoneration, and he was fully exonerated in 2019. It was believed to be the first time that genetic genealogy had been used to exonerate a defendant. He went on to help legislation in the state to provide compensation for wrongfully convicted individuals, earning more than $1 million himself because of the new law.
That's good.
Tapp was also awarded $11.7 million in a civil lawsuit against Idaho Falls and its police department. However, tragically, Tapp was murdered in Las Vegas hotel room in 2023 at the age of 47.
Damn. Is that connected to anything?
It doesn't say, which is really sad. Yeah. Considering that's like 6 years after he was freed. He's fought all that time to be released for a crime he didn't commit.
Yeah.
It doesn't say as well when he won the lawsuit, but like, he was fully exonerated in 2019. I'm assuming it wouldn't immediately have given the lawsuit, but he's won a lot of money and therefore could have spent the rest of his life living quite comfortably, and then to get murdered is devastating.
And that doesn't, but even getting the money doesn't bring back the 20 years that he spent in prison.
No, 100%.
And yeah, he's only been out free for what, like a few years?
Exactly. So I picked the case because I did say it as part of the quote, but it was, as I said, it was believed to be the first time genetic genealogy was used in exonerating a defendant, and it felt very similar to sort of the twist you had in Christian Bale's case, where it was sort of like a first of its kind, where it did sort of a big thing for true crime. And how was it, Christian Bale? Or was it the one before?
No, it was Robert Black.
Robert Black, yes. Sorry, with the databases. Yeah.
Yeah, so, with the databases.
Yeah, so Robert Black, and a really big thing in moving true crime into a certain direction. So I now have, it's a very long quote, but I have a direct quote about the use of familial DNA, if you are interested.
Yes, I'm definitely interested.
Familial searching is the process of finding an individual for which one cannot find a direct DNA match by finding approximate matches to their relatives, then using genealogical data to isolate the DNA of the individual in question. The popularity of the technique has grown in recent years. The same method of familial DNA searching that was used to identify Drip's anniversary was used in the discovery and the arrest of the Golden State Killer. There remains concerns over genetic data collected by companies such as 23andMe and Ancestry.com for recreational purposes being used to implicate a relative in a crime, without the contributor of that genetic samples consenting to its use in the investigation. While some states such as California, Idaho, Texas, and Florida allow the use of familial searching, some areas of the United States, such as Maryland and the District of Columbia, prohibit its use in criminal investigations. While the Dodge case is not the first case to use familial searching, officials involved in the investigation have posited that its success will propel its use in future criminal investigations.
So they weren't the first people to use it.
It did say it was believed to be the first time that genetic genealogy had been used to exonerate a defendant, sorry. So used in exoneration, but not for... Yeah. I think the Golden State Killer stuff actually happened before this, so...
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say that is, like, the famous one.
Yeah, so same method of finding...
Same but different.
Same but different, but in this case it was obviously still used to find the murderer, but the first time it had possibly been used to exonerate a defendant as well. Yeah. So it's quite a big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
So that is the case of Angie Dodge.
Well, that was great. I mean, it was terrible, but great.
It's true crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true crime. I don't think we're ever going to have a great case.
I don't know.
That's why we have our happy stuff. Cheese Heist was good, but technically it's still bad. Because they still stole cheese.
They still stole cheese. And when I was Googling earlier, I decided I didn't like any of my cases on my lists anymore. I don't know why. I just don't. I'll probably come back to it at some point. But when I was searching for a new case, I Googled, like, cases with the most interesting twist, and the Cheese Heist came up. And I was like, nice. Well, I already did that one.
But yeah.
But yeah, this one's very interesting. I quite like cases that have firsts in them.
Yeah, I don't think I initially intended to find the case. I do think I did my general, like, unusual cases, or unusual true crime cases, and it came up as one of the, like, AI overview suggestions.
Yeah.
And then the Wikipedia page was actually a really good one, and I know Wikipedia can be a bit of a, like, dubious source sometimes, but it did line up with a lot of the other articles I read, which reminds me, so the source that I didn't want to reference was the Innocence Project. So a lot of this, so there's one of the sources, the innocentsproject.org, which has the full case for Christopher Tapp on it. So I didn't want to reference it just because obviously then it would immediately become obvious that he was exonerated. So
I mean, you said coercion, so I assume we would only know about the coercion if they'd gone back on it, but then I suppose they didn't straight away and they knew about the coercion. So, yeah, I don't know. That was a really interesting case.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
And I suppose, like you said, it's not always necessarily happy subjects, but that's why we have our good stuff at the beginning.
Yes, yeah. We've got some light, then the darkness, and then some teasers for more of the darkness.
Amazing. That leads perfectly into, do you have your teasers for our next episode?
I do have my teasers for the next episode. So, my teasers are sewing machine, attic, and robbery.
Is it really bad that the immediate thought that I get with sewing machine is like skin and like sewing people, but then that could
It's
have just
because
been...
we've talked about it for like 3 episodes now.
Yeah, and I did watch the Ed Gein monster stuff on Netflix, and that was a lot. So
I still haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I will, but I'm too busy having life be lifing and podcasting.
that's fair. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find us as Primetime with My Bestie on TikTok and Instagram.
And you can listen on any platform you want, but specifically Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. And we are Crime Time with My Bestie on all of them. And if you enjoy it and you enjoy our episodes, give us a like, give us a little comment, review, subscribe, all of the good things so that, one, we know you're having a good time. Because if you don't say anything, we don't know about it. And we're just screaming into a void. I have a good time with you, but it's just us screaming at each other otherwise.
It'd be nice to know that we're screaming at each other with other people listening and enjoying it.
Yes.
I did deliberately make Sam listen to the hysterical laughing from the Christian Barlow case.
That, I was told, was one of my friend's favourite parts of it, and it really made her smile, us just hysterically laughing. And honestly, every time it gets me, I'm crying with laughter every single time I listen. And I put it on TikTok, and I have listened to it, I would say, upwards of 100 times.
I will say, just because there's a part in it where I think I'm still hysterically laughing, and I say, I think we've been laughing for 3 minutes straight, and it hasn't, it's been about a minute.
No, in the edited version.
Yeah, I was going to say, I edited that quite heavily because there was at one point that it was just pure noise, and I didn't know how long people would want to listen to us just laughing constantly, but apparently quite a long time, so maybe some distant future we will release a full, 3 minutes of us just laughing hysterically at you saying "Gapya." So, yeah.
What is it? What? Ambrose! You've just
and
got
my
back
hair's
from your
long again.
Gapya!
Oh no! But anyways.
You're gonna have to take a picture because you didn't take a preppy picture last time.
I know. I'm getting a haircut next week. It'll be fun.
Preppy picture beforehand. You're not allowed to get a haircut until you've taken a preppy picture.
Okay. Well, this is Ambrose signing out.
And I am Anna going on my Gapya. But yes, if you like us, guys, let us know. And thank you for listening.
Thanks, bestie.
Thank you, bestie.
Bye.
Bye.